Liverpool winning their 28th Premier League title. Well, something that they've actually showed consistency in this season, and of course it's paid off as they've been crowned champions of the English Premier League. You know, just 1 point was enough for them yesterday to lift the title, even though Tottenham with that early scare scoring that's from Dominic Solanke. But then you talk about the goal scorers for Liverpool Football Club, but it only made sense for one man to be on target yesterday, and that's talking about the Egyptian king Mohamed Salah, whom also yesterday became that's the foreigner with the highest number of goals there in the English Premier League, 185. Yes, surpassing the likes of that's Sergio Aguero or Thierry Henry. It's definitely a good feat for who that's talking about Mohamed Salah. Then we talk about champions. We can come home to Nigeria to talk about champions as well. Remo Stars, 1-0, crowned champions of the Nigeria Premier Football League. What do you say about football here in Nigeria? Well, from late last year or early this year, we've actually seen it that Remo Stars would be crowned champions of the Nigeria Premier Football League. And since they held that 10-point advantage, but you still tell that they still have that 10-point advantage at this present stage in time there in the English, that's the Nigeria Premier Football League. But then we also talk about the title race there in Italy for Napoli. 2-0 yesterday. Scott McTominay for Inter Milan. They lost to the hands of AS Roma. Well, where's the title race are going to be decided here in the Italian Serie A? Well, outside football stories, we also discuss about a bit of tennis stories that's on the show this morning. We'll discuss about Alexander Zverev. We're definitely he's in the news for the good and also for the bad reason. But then we discuss about what again? We discuss about boxing and the trusted world of basketball. These and so many more you have lined up for us on today's edition of the program, Scoreboard 15 right on 32 FM. But with all the celebration in England, we have our partners, the BBC, where definitely we will discuss about that's everything that happened there in the English Premier League. That was yesterday. And of course, we discuss about what else? Well, everything that definitely is going on there in the interesting world of football that's started straight from the English Premier League. So definitely, I think I will just take a pause and join our partners, the BBC. But maybe we just do that. That's towards the tail end of the show. But let's discuss about the lyrics of Remo Stars. That was yesterday in the Nigeria Premier Football League, where they were crowned champions of the Nigeria Premier Football League yesterday. For Remo Stars, it was that's a great victory for themselves, where the Sky Blue Boys defeated Niger Tornadoes, courtesy of a late goal by Adebayo Olamilekon, becoming that's the first privately owned club since Udoji United, that's in the year 1996, to be crowned champions of the Nigeria Premier Football League. And they achieved the defeat on the 59th birthday of their owner, that's Kunle Sholame, businessman with interest rigging from aviation to the gaming industry. Well, stars don't just shine, they reign. Remo Stars, champions of the Nigeria Premier Football League. 68 points from 35 matches. 10 points are clear of their closest rivals, Rivers United, with 3 rounds of matches remaining this season. Well, remember that in consecutive seasons, they finished as runners-up, and of the club, which was founded 15 years ago. Well, you could tell that they will represent Nigeria in next year's CAF Champions League, along with this season's eventual runners-up, while the third place team will feature that's in the CAF Confederation Cup. But there we talk about the Shooting Stars yesterday, also 3-1. We lost yesterday, and you tell that result definitely has dumped the Shooting Stars there in 9th position in the Nigeria Premier Football League. And then you look at it and say, where did the Shooting Stars get it all wrong for the 2024-2025 football season? All right, I think maybe we'll just come later in the afternoon to discuss about the Nigeria Premier Football League as well, and everything that has happened there in the exciting world of football that's in the last few months. All right, going straight to England, the Manchester City. Well, you tell that they won against Nottingham Forest 2-0 to reach the finals of the English FA Cup. Well, 3 successive seasons now they in the finals of the English FA Cup. Remember that last season they lost to the hands of Manchester United by 2-1. But this season they'll be facing off against Crystal Palace, whom also over the course of the weekend defeated Aston Villa by 3-0. right, to take a listen to more of that alongside Liverpool being crowned the champions of the English Premier League. But then, before we go straight to the BBC, we know that yesterday it was all about the comeback from Arsenal Football Club. Remontada, you call it. They went to France and defeated Lyon yesterday by 4-1 to reach the finals of the UEFA Women's Champions League. Remember that for that Arsenal Football Club, yes, they were they are still the only women's side to win the UEFA Women's Champions League. Talking about sides from England, they did that yesterday, and you could tell that it was a great feat for them, overturning a 2-1 deficit just to be in the finals, where they, of course, they'll be playing against FC Barcelona, whom defeated Chelsea Football Club by 4-1. It was a copy and paste of the results that went down there in the first leg. Barcelona 4, Chelsea Football Club 1, 8-2 on aggregate. And for Arsenal Football Club in the finals of the UEFA Women's Champions League, they'll be opening the men's side also could do that starting from tomorrow when they face off against the Paris Saint-Germain. They're in the first leg of the UEFA Champions League semi-finals. But let's join our partners, the BBC, to take a listen to what they have for us on that front of the BBC Premier League update.
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football.
Hello, I'm John Wilkinson at the BBC Sports Centre. Liverpool are the English champions for a record equalling 20th time. They had fallen behind Tottenham at Anfield, but ultimately thrashed them 5-1 to take the title with 4 games to spare. Mohamed Salah also moved past Sergio Aguero in the list of all-time Premier League goal scorers, and Arne Slot says he sends his appreciation to former boss Jurgen Klopp for the squad and setup he left him, and he says joining the likes of Klopp, Dalglish, Shankly and Paisley means so much.
It means a lot to be part of the history of such a great football club which has such a great history. To be part of it, to win the league, that is something really special. And what else is there to say? It's unbelievable that we've achieved this. And that from this moment onwards, I'm part of this history of this great football club.
The celebrations started mid-game in Liverpool. Here's defender Andy Robertson.
On the schedule, we're in tomorrow, but that will be definitely
You're
cancelled.
not in tomorrow.
As the schedule stands, we are, but that will be getting cancelled, that's for sure. And obviously, we'll have days off, and we have to celebrate it because you have to do these things right, and it's not often you win trophies.
Earlier, Manchester United, with whom Liverpool have now drawn level in terms of English titles, they drew at Bournemouth. United needed a 96th minute equaliser in a 1-1 draw, and Ruben Amorim's side are 14th in the table.
Everything is frustrating with the opportunities, especially after the sent-off, pushing the opponent for their own box. We have to make better decisions, so we need to improve again in all aspects of the game.
Manchester City have booked an FA Cup final against Crystal Palace after beating Nottingham Forest 2-0. There were goals from Rico Lewis and Josko Gvardiol. Forest hit the woodwork 3 times in the second half, but it's Pep Guardiola's City who could still end a frustrating season with silverware.
You cannot imagine. It would be easy in other clubs who have done it. Tell me one club has done 7 semi-finals in a row in the long history, or 3 finals in a row. So it's something unique.
Just one more game remains in this round of Premier League fixtures. Nottingham Forest host Brentford on Thursday night. And for more football news from the BBC, go to bbc.com/football.
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football.
Right, today listen to the BBC Premier League update, but moving away from football stories at this point, let's discuss about the world of boxing, where it was that Chris Eubanks Jr. who survived that a brutal grudge bout against Conor Benn to seal a unanimous point decision against his bitter rival. That was over the course of the weekend. And then for Eubanks Jr., you could tell that he's doing well and resting in the hospital after his unanimous decision victory at the Tottenham Stadium. That was on Saturday. That That's according to his promoter, Ben Shalom. He was taken to the hospital for precautionary checks after beating fellow Briton Ben in their trailing middleweight grudge match. So we move away from boxing also and talk about that tennis story where top seed Alexander Zverev was warned for taking a picture of a contested ball mark at the Madrid Open during a more electric liner calling controversy that was on clay, and the world number 2 overcame that's Alejandro Davidovich Fokina 2-6, 7-6, to reach the last 16. But the success was marred by another row as Zverev was convinced that that's a backhand from his opponent in the 10th game of that's the second set had gone wild. So definitely we still discuss about the updates from the Madrid Open. Well, that's Andrei Rublev lost 6-4, 0-6, 6-4 to Alexander Bublik. And then in the women's draw, top seed Arina Zabalenka recovered from losing the opening sets to defeat Elise Martins 3-6, 6-2, 6-1 to reach that's the next round also. And then Jessica Pegula and 6-seed Jasmine Paolini were also knocked out of the Madrid Open. Well, and lastly, just before we leave updates from the world of basketball, that's talking about the games that went down in the early hours of today. Yes, the Minnesota Timberwolves that defeated the LA Lakers 116-113, and then the Minnesota Timberwolves take that lead over the LA Lakers 3-1. But LeBron James, Luka Doncic, they cannot save the Lakers from the 3-1 hole. And then you talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. They are also trailing against the Indiana Pacers, who also take that 3-1 lead. That's the playoffs games. And the Boston Celtics take the lead against the Orlando Magic, also 3-1. But games are set to continue in the early hours of tomorrow. The Miami Heat against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Well, the Cavaliers get a victory. They are true. And then you talk about the GSWs as well against the Houston Rockets. It is still 2-1, but the GSWs, if they have it in their bucket, to defeat the Houston Rockets. Well, this is how far we can go on today's edition of the show. We'll come later in the afternoon, 3:30, to discuss some more. Reload the headlines, especially that's the winning weekend for Remo Stars and also for Liverpool Football Club. And then we'll talk about the bitter news from the Italian Serie A for Inter Milan. 3 straight defeats now. How are they going to go into their game against FC Barcelona in the UEFA Champions League, who defeated Real Madrid in their third El Clasico meeting over the course of the weekend in the finals of the Copa del Rey? Thank you so much to everyone who has joined me on today's edition of the program. 3:30, of course, we'll be here. Coming up next is Baba Vendor. Do enjoy the rest of the day and bye for now.